We have a proclamation from Mayor Bob Foster, the city of Long Beach. I'm leaving it on this table. You can look at this really beautiful, beautiful proclamation. It was actually done for yesterday, but what it says is that it's a proclamation presented to the survivors of institutional abuse by the city of Long Beach, whereas February 24th, 2012, that was yesterday, marks the first convention of the survivors of institutional abuse held in Long Beach, California, and whereas this is the first time survivors of institutional abuse in America have gathered from many parts of this nation to share their stories in order to aid healing and empowerment, and whereas Project Help, a program of SIA, has helped struggling adults who were victimized in institutions and has supporters ready and willing to help survivors on their journey, and whereas SIA has played a major role in uniting survivors and publicizing their stories to a mass audience and government officials, and whereas SIA has sponsored gallery shows and public awareness events to further consciousness of the problem of abuse in institutions and helping provide plans and hope for a solution. Now, therefore, I, Bob Foster, Mayor of Long Beach, on behalf of the entire City Council, do hereby commend the Survivors of Institutional Abuse organization and proudly declare February 24th, 2012 as the National Day of Awareness for Survivors of Institutional Abuse. SIA's hard work and dedication to equality and justice is recognized and greatly appreciated, and signed by Bob Foster.
The very first day I was shipped off to my first home, which was in Arcadia, Louisiana, called New Bethany with Mac Ford. And it talks about my ultimate submission of will when I learned what it was like to make that self-sacrifice and give the most sacred thing a girl could own, my virginity by force, by Mac Ford. And my mom came there to work 2 months later, and then we ended up leaving when there was some scrutiny by the state on some of the abuse in the boys' home. She was afraid she would be exposed, so she fled with me to Corpus Christi, Texas again to join Roloff Ministries and start working there and just carry on the legacy of fundamentalist abuse and imprisonment of children.
So I got a question I wanted. You were in the Mother Jones article, that's your Bible that's Bible. Pictured up, that's where it's all, everything's crossed out.
Yes. Would you like to know the story behind that?
Yeah, yes I would.
Okay.
If you wouldn't mind.
I was dropped off at New Bethany, not knowing that I was, to me, I look at it as being abducted by my mother. And I ended up on the floor with several girls on top of me. They held me down for several hours. And then I was told that I had a watcher and that I was not to speak for a whole month, only to my watcher. And after a month, I had made friends. I didn't realize when I was yelling on the floor that was going on with me. I had no idea what was happening. It was just so scary. And so a lot of girls, I guess, heard me laying on the floor screaming, yelling, and they would sign my Bible like a yearbook. And they had Bible check. And so we turned our Bibles in. And when I got mine back, it was just, they had taken black, blue marker, pens, and everything and just tore the whole Bible out, saying that we had defaced them. In my Bible, after laying on the floor yelling about, you know, being held down and everything, they ended up giving me a cheap Bible, and I was on silence for a month, and so the girls that were there felt for me, I guess, and I started having them write in my Bible like a yearbook, and we had Bible chat, and this is what happened when I got out.
Okay, well I can see a little bit of the writing under here. It looks like
it wasn't bad. Nothing was bad. It was they had, when I realized this, and let's see, Matt, John.
I had mine, but I don't know.
Yeah. So.
Here we go. Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends.
Is that what's written up there on front?
This is what they did to it.
Oh, wait.
Scribbly marks. But it's okay to write the preacher's name down. And this brother Danny, this guy was the craziest one there, and he was scary.
One day, my mom tricked me. She said we were going clothing shopping.
How old were you?
I was 14.
Okay.
I was 14. My mom told me we were going clothing shopping at the outlets, and I was excited. I love buying clothes. And we drove past Tommy Hilfiger. I'm like, wait. She drove past Polo. I'm like, oh no, I want to go there too. She's like, no, there's another one down the road. We'll come back to this. I'm like, okay. So we get down the road. We go past there was a fence, it said no trespassing. We pull into a parking lot, and I'm like, this is interesting. This seems really exclusive. I wonder what's going on in here. So we get in, we walk into the building, and finally it sunk in that I wasn't going clothing shopping. And so I immediately ran out of the building, down the block. I was in the middle of nowhere, I didn't know where I was. And a car came after me, pulled up to where I was.
Let me just ask you, Nick, because it's interesting to me. You're with your mother.
Yeah.
Someone who you trusted. She was your mom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You saw you enter this place, and immediately at age 14, you're like, something's wrong, and you jumped out of your mom's car and started running?
No, at this point we were in the building.
Oh, you're in the building.
Into the lobby and
then you turned around and ran.
Yeah, and then I ran out of the building.
How did you know? You just knew. You could tell.
Yeah,
it looked bad.
I took the no trespassing sign, the fact that we went through a gate, and the fact that there were no clothes around, and I'm like...
You're like, I've been tricked.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm like, get out of here now, ask questions later.
Okay.
So I'm running down the middle of nowhere, and this car comes after me, and out of the car comes, I don't even know how many people. It just seemed like staff members upon staff members, like clowns coming out of a clown car. And they grabbed me, they pulled me in the car, brought me back, and that was the beginning of my very long intake, which led to my 2.5-year stay at Kids of North Jersey. When I was being restrained on the floor, we could be kept down there 5, 10, 15 hours, days, until we admitted where we were wrong for being violent and winding up being restrained, even if we weren't. And I'm somewhat of a pacifist. I've never hit anyone, especially not in that program. But if you weren't playing by their rules, that was one of their tactics to get you to go along with what they wanted you to do. And they would restrain you as hard as they can, 4 or 5 guys pressing on your limbs in the wrong direction, bending it in all sorts of weird ways, until you signed on the dotted line saying, I was wrong for being violent, to get off the ground.
I was at Cross Creek Manor in 1993. I came here with somebody that went to Cross Creek only a couple of years ago, and we're at the CIA convention. And I'm representing CAFTY, Community Alliance for the Ethical Treatment of Youth. And my vision of being down here was just to get to know the people from other organizations and start to talk about our different skills that we have and things that we want to do and how we can help support each other and research about these places. But I think meeting them too is just, it kind of caught me off guard being here, because I felt like I wanted to come in and create all these solutions and what are we going to do about it, and it really was kind of like taking a step back and looking at things again and doing what I feel is kind of like some healing myself, or at least some opening up that I hadn't before. So it was a real learning lesson for me. And one thing that I had in mind before I came down here was just the need for having groups meet in person and talk about things, and talk about doing things if we are going to, try and solve this, to do things together and do things at a pace, as well as in correspondence with the different organizations that are passionate about this.
Hello, my name is Pauline Williams, and I'm here for Fairhaven. You may have seen us on CNN or some other article like Huffington Post. We've been all over the internet. So
tell me, what brings you here to the SIA organization? Did Fairhaven sponsor or support any teen behavioral modification centers, or?
Well, Fairhaven itself supports a ministry called Hephzibah House, which is in Winona Lake, Indiana. And not only have we sent many, many girls there going back into the 1980s, but we've also sent them money as a missionary ministry, and I happen to know right now that a couple of their staff members are people who have been through our college. And we have volunteers from our college that go there and spend time with the community. Our members include the 2 adopted children of Pastor Vogelin himself, also the head deacon's son, Sam Bain, among many, many others who are like myself, were just members' children who went through. The nearest thing I can describe it to after living in the People's Republic of China is a re-education camp for children.
It's really been a lifelong issue, but I guess, well, around 2007 when I discovered that there was a website that had been created, you know, devoted to former residents of New Bethany. And I realized on a very personal level that the things I remembered and witnessed, you know, during my time there weren't, it wasn't just my perception. There were other people that shared my feelings and that had been through the same kind of thing and experienced the same thing, and so it validated that for me. For decades, I never really even allowed myself to think about it because it was just so surreal. I was deathly afraid that anything I said about New Bethany would not be believed. You know, in finding out that there were a lot of people, numerous people that had the same experience, I guess it just lit a fire under me.
My roommate, Kevin Uriando.
Jerry McLaurin.
Jimmy Conda and Richard Bradbury.
You know, the dishonesty, the fraud, the lack of licensing on the parts of people who claim to be psychiatrists, psychologists, therapists, teachers. I mean, there are no credentials, no licensing, and we feel that that is very helpful to parents who feel that they're at their wits' end. To see, you know, what we have on all these different programs.
I am the HEO for SIA, and I'm also a HEAL coordinator.
So I would encourage everyone here, you know, to come over and take a look at our table at the information that we have, and sign up if you'd like to become a member. It's free. We do send out a weekly newsletter which kind of fills in all of our members on what we're working on, whether it be you know, working on a state plan or something through a school, or if we have completed a successful rescue, if we're in the process of assisting parents.
You should think about what an organization does, because not only are they doing active rescues, actually going into these organizations and getting kids out, but when you think about it, they are saving lives they don't even know they're saving. Because a parent goes and they're like, oh, Victory Christian Academy, I'm Christian, I want my kids to be good Christians. And then they look it up and then they find HEAL on Google. And they're like, oh, wait, I'm not sending my kid there. And so Simone is saving lives she doesn't even know she's saving.
I know that all of you know that, you know, if your parents put you in these places, they are told that because they signed a contract that they cannot take you out of this program. And that's very untrue.
I know there are a lot of people that think that because they've signed a contract that they can't take action to protect their children. That's a load of BS. As a lawyer, I can tell you, you cannot sign away your rights to sue someone for killing your child, for abusing your child. You just can't sign those rights away. People have inherent rights not to be abused. And no one can say it's okay to abuse me. It is never okay to abuse. It is never okay to murder. It is never okay to torture. And if you have any questions about legal action, consult a local attorney, call the police, call 911, call your district attorney, but don't think because you signed some contract that you can't stop people from abusing your children.